Wait, John Rowe. The topic of we should do a podcast. Wait, John. Wait, John Rowe. We should do a podcast.
The topic of the podcast together, and honestly, I'm excited.
G'day, dorks, and welcome into Lords of Dorktown, a podcast all about anime, cartoons, and video games. I'm your host, Philip, and the dorks joining me tonight are the wonderfully charming hosts from the Naruto Reviewto podcast. It's Kim, Jesse, and Tim. How are you guys?
Hello.
Hello.
Good. Excited to be here.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
So excited to have you guys on Dorktown. You guys are a podcast that I've been listening to for a while now and became slightly obsessed with for a good period there. And not only that, you convinced me to go back and watch Naruto, something I honestly thought was years away from happening. Years. I was like, nah, 5 years, I'll push it back.
So you had watched it before, so now you're just going back again? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Naruto was like one of my first anime experiences.
Wow.
It got like here in Australia, it was on a program called Cheese TV, which is like it's like Saturday Disney, but it aired every morning at like 7 o'clock before school on our like one channel we had. So like everyone, it's like such a cultural touchstone for people in their mid-20s, early 30s is Cheese TV. And it picked up like some weird anime titles. Like it's where a lot of people had their first experience with Pokemon, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, all those kind of things. So like that was my first experience. So yeah, Naruto's been huge for me. Like there's a family portrait behind me with all my family's Naruto characters.
I saw that and I was like, are you pandering? I love it.
It's my pride and joy. It's great. So for the dorks listening, do you guys want to give a quick breakdown of what Naruto Reviewto are and who you guys are?
Sure.
Yeah, so Naruto Reviewto is a podcast where we watch Naruto. We watch typically 3 episodes, a chapter of Naruto Reviewto, and we talk about the show. You know, we go into details about the show and all the cool things that are happening in it and kind of break it down, and then crack some jokes along the way.
Yeah, the rest of the cast has read and seen all of it with some combination of the two. I think there's some filler that like Jesse hasn't seen, but and I was the baby, so I haven't seen any of it. So there is sort of like the concept of okay, we got it. That's sort of how we keep it spoiler free. You know, we decided to let the cultural touchstone spoilers in. And it's real loosey-goosey because it's basically anything that I knew before we started felt fair game, you know, like a handful of people that get married, like obviously Sakura and Sasuke getting married was like, you know, I think that's a spoiler you should know going in because to temper your expectations. But yeah, you know, I was getting drunk at my wife's holiday party and I reached out to some friends and I was just like, man, help me help you. Anyone have any ideas? Because I have a Dungeons and Dragons podcast that's pretty large, so I wanted to use my audience to lift up my friends. And Kim had an anime podcast, so I thought it was really, really good. So I was always thinking of ways to divert new listeners. And so I go to our G chat, one of ours, and I was like, hey, you know, man, look how big this Manhattan is. Anyone want to make content? And then like immediately you see the G chat Jesse is typing bubble, and it's like, let's do a Naruto podcast. I'm like, all right, let's do it. And that's how it was. And then the pandemic happened, and I think that was a sort of helpful sort of thing, you know, a brand new set of consistency on our end of, all right, every Wednesday or whatever, we watch and talk about 3 episodes of Naruto over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's amazing how the pandemic has, like, because for me as well, the pandemic, and I don't want this to be a big pandemic chat, but it's an interesting thing to talk about because for me, I think the pandemic, like the way I'll remember it, as long as, you know, nothing drastic happens in the next couple of years, but the way I'll remember it for me is always being this like weird year and a half block where I just watched so much anime. Like I watched a disgusting. I was anime in the morning, anime at lunchtime, anime at the dinner. Like it was It was truly the biggest degenerate phase of my life.
so funny.
Yes.
And so yeah,
Spiral
it's
into
funny.
weed hell.
I know, and there's other people I've talked to, like other podcast creators and stuff like that. I've spoken to that have kind of just mirrored the thing you said, where it was like, well, the pandemic happened, and all of a sudden we had like a routine. Everyone kind of had a routine. Like everyone's routine started to sync up a little bit more. So it was like, yeah, content just seemed like a good thing to start making, especially like anime content, because like anime didn't slow down like at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Well, yeah. I mean, what was it? Demon Slayer was like the #1 movie on the planet because no other movies existed. So.
Yeah, I stand by that movie too. It's
Yeah, I liked it.
real good. It's
Yeah.
real good.
Yeah, our downloads for our other shows were down, but I feel like there was like a more consistency of the people that were there. You know, of like again what you said about the whole. We have this weird thing. Let's log into the Smile show and log out and all that stuff.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
think
no,
it's-
100.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I 100% agree, and I think it's really interesting that you guys picked Naruto, because it's like it's one of the big three, you know. It's Naruto. It's for me too. Like it's the anime that's always been there. It's the anime that comes to mind when I think anime. So like for you
Right.
guys to pick Naruto, it's just like it's daunting. Like I would feel daunting going in.
Yeah.
Like, did you guys have that same kind of sense of like almost like dread, almost thinking about
Yeah.
like, well, no, now we have to watch Naruto.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I didn't
Yeah.
have the dread. I had a lot of excitement. I would like think about it night before going to bed, like, oh my god, I can't wait to get to this part. Oh my god, I can't wait to get
Yeah.
to this part and talk about it. And like, I don't know, just like all the excitement. I know Naruto is daunting because of how huge it is, but the content is so good. Besides the filler, the content is so good that it just keeps you so engaged and it keeps you going and wanting to keep watching over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
been exciting because we're reaching the point where I stopped watching the anime and I've only read the manga to the end. So there's a certain point in Shippuden where I have not seen the fights play out, and I'm very excited for that. But it's definitely been a journey to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I
missed some of
remember-
oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, because I missed some of the filler because I get sick a lot. And so it's been really rewarding to hear about Hinata B crucifixion.
Yeah.
My friends.
Yeah, it's kind of like since we're now in Shippuden, it's sort of a running joke of like, all right, this did come up in the filler. Are they doing this on purpose, or did they know it was gonna be in the manga in the Shippuden zone? But yeah, it's kind of funny because we can just say whatever we want about Naruto Prime's filler, and Kim has to be like, all right, sure, a lot of pee
Yeah, yeah.
content, a lot of there was a glistening pee on a princess and an Elvis. You said, like, yep.
Naruto, like Shippuden specifically, but like the filler in Shippuden is like, it's like next level filler. Like it's like filler, but like filler. Like the,
Yeah.
Is it the? Have you guys? I don't think you guys have hit it. I don't think you.
No, we're in like what,
Mech,
episode 45 or something like that.
Yeah.
okay, so all I will say is Mech Naruto, and like that's it. Like it's just
Fuck, man.
just blew my mind. I've watched the episodes that involves around a few times, and every time I watch them, I'm like, what the fuck is this? What
Yeah.
kind of fever dream is this? It's.
I was
insane,
always
but you'll
like,
get there.
it can't be that bad. And I think
It can.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Like
is.
I was like, oh yeah, you know, and for a little bit, I was like, there's no such thing as filler. I do not hold that opinion anymore. I was just like, oh, it's like the episode where Vegeta and Piccolo get their driver's license. That's funny, and you get to learn side things about the characters. No, not the case. Not the case, and so far that we have seen it. I mean, I think there's exactly 2 good filler arcs out of, I don't know, 20 in Naruto Prime. But besides that, it's not. Yeah, even the like fine ones aren't that good. It's like like some of the ones we be watching is like, this kind of sucks, but also it's better than some of the like
Right.
canonical arcs and things like that. So you really do see the lack of budget in everything, and talk about that dread coming up. Like I remember we were all hanging out and chatting, and I think we're just playing the video game Valheim, where you just log in and cut trees for 37 hours and stuff like that. And we were almost noodling, like, should we make our patrons pay extra to force us to do this? And what we landed on was no. We're very, very thankful for them holistically. So what we'll do instead is watch an entire arc and talk about it. So if the arc was 7 episodes, well, here we are talking about 7 episodes of Naruto, which was fun, I think. And eventually we just started to lose our minds because there's just so much of it, and it's back to back, and it's all so weird. And some of it's funny and weird, but it's when they try to be interesting and things like that, it like misses so often that I think I'm strong now, so I'm not afraid of the Shippuden filler, even though I've been extremely, extremely, extremely warned about it. So I'm excited.
You still should be. This is like one of those scenarios where someone has like experienced something pretty traumatic, but you know for a fact that there's like some big trauma coming, and, and they're like, no, I'm ready for it. It's like, no, you're not. No one's ready for the car. No one's ready for the head-on car crash with a truck.
fool.
No one's ready. You can be in 100 fender benders and think you're ready for a head-on, but you're not.
Yeah.
Like, you're not ready. It's
I
as someone
think for me-
who's watched it, it's truly, truly awful.
Yeah.
It
Every
really
single
is.
time people tell me how many episodes of Shippuden there are, it's like, fuck off. That's not true. And they're like, Tim, here's the Wikipedia. You're wrong. You know what? I'm choosing not to believe this. This is because we would just make jokes of like. Yeah, because we're just starting this new thing. It takes hours and hours to do, like a horrific amount of time. It's fun and I love it. But when we started, there was, all of Naruto Prime and all of Naruto Shippuden, and then the looking down the barrel of the gun of Boruto. And it's like, it was always in the back from like, 5 years from now when we do this. And literally that's true. Because while we went through the filler quick, there's just so many episodes, and we've been going for what? We're gonna be 2 years soon.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. It is a lot, but once our community started to be like really cool in a way that I never expected, it completely vanished. Like it was like more of an excitement type thing, and we really like our first handful of episodes. We were just like, because we've all done like projects, here and there, and we're just like, can't believe how much fun that was to talk about it, because we just like get off on tangents, and our episodes are way, 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 way too long. And we were talking about this real quick before we started recording, but like the show shouldn't have any listeners, but because our episodes are 2 hours long, we discussed 3 Naruto episodes, and the first 20 or 30 minutes is us giving compliments to some of our patrons that are quite unhinged. But
Yes.
since we have the good community, everyone likes it and things like that. And it's been a horrifically rewarding time, I'll say.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I sympathize with you guys like a large amount, because there was a point in time where I was for this podcast, I was the aforementioned Cheese TV. I had this like fever dream one day where I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna rewatch every TV show that ever aired on the Cheese TV. I'm gonna do it.
Yes.
And I put up the
Okay.
Wikipedia list, and this
Go.
thing was like no word, like it was like 4 finger scrolls long, like it was just
no.
go. So I was like,
Love
right, what
yourself.
I'm gonna do? What I'm going to do is that every time I've got to do an episode, I'm just going to scroll through. I'm going to pick a show. I'm going to watch a minimum 3 episodes, and I'm going to talk about it on the podcast. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
My mental health isn't going to decline at all. And then I think it was like 8 episodes in, and this was like just a 10-minute segment I was like tagging at the end of it. Like it wasn't the main meat. It wasn't the main topic or anything. It was just like, this would be like a fun 10-minute segment. So I would spend like 2 hours working on like a 10-minute segment.
Oh,
and it'd be like, one week I watched like 5 episodes. There was a show called Big Bad Beetleborgs. I don't know if you've
I know
ever
that
heard of
show.
it.
I love that show. Love that show. Love that
Oh,
show.
do you? Have you gone back and rewatched it in the last 5 years with no nostalgia to it? Because it
I
is.
simply will not.
It is. Like I was watching it. And I'm sitting on the lounge, and my wife comes out, and I'm watching this. And she goes, "What are you watching?" I was like, "A Big Bad Beetleborgs." And she's like, Is this for the I think I was calling it a Getting Moldy section. She's like, "Is this for the thing on the podcast?" I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, I haven't seen you enjoy anything you've watched for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, I haven't. And I'm real sad about it all the time. And I feel like I'm a broken man.
You
And
got to
that
struggle
led
for your art.
Oh, mate, that led to a spiral that took out like 3 months last year. Like 3 months were just in a spiral. Like it was a fine spiral. I just managed my feelings the same way I all do with KFC and alcohol, but still a spiral nonetheless.
I think we got lucky because we got more medicated as the show went on.
Yeah.
So it was, you know, like at some points you don't have any, you can't go any lower, so you go sideways. So I think that's sort of what happened to me a few times. And then when the medications came out, it's like, who gives a shit? Let's go.
I mean, that's part of the reason why I stopped doing my old anime podcast, Transformation Sequence, because depending on the series we chose,
Great name.
will you be
Great
watching
name.
like 12 episodes to like 27 a week, writing notes on it, which take hours, and then recording it, and like I had to take a tolerance break from anime. Like, I have not watched any new seasons because it's like I ingested too much of it. And if I come back to it, I will simply perish. I will overdose.
Yeah. Real talk though. Like I feel like I'm always at that edge. Like I'm teetering on the edge. Where it's like I could watch another episode, but also if I watch another episode, I may want to drink myself into oblivion tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can hear us having breakdowns on that show.
Oh my god, dude, we scream a lot. Like, yeah, there's like this one moment in the tune-in exam early on, and this is probably a light, like, what's what I'm looking for, moment where I was like, I don't know if I can do this, where I found out that one of the members of the main three did not pass the tune-in exam, and I didn't realize, like, the show didn't say she did. One of the three that is a girl. No spoilers. And when she fought the other girl, it was the second girl in the show. I was like, oh, they tied, so they both passed. Is what I thought. And, you know, we're just going through the episode, and then Kim writes all of our notes, and she like made a funny comment about how Sakura and Ino didn't pass and stuff like that. And I was like, what? I thought they would, like, no, they're both out. I was like, what? They didn't graduate any of them? Like, no. Girl boss.
Oh, that was
no.
such a fun moment when
Yeah.
you're just losing your mind on the podcast.
Yeah, just brain bubbles on top of brain bubbles over and over again.
Yeah, there's some early episodes of Dorktown that never made it to air that were just like 45 minutes in. I'm like, oh god, you're unhinged. You're let's dial this back a bit, buddy. Let's check in with you and then see if this is how we want to act in space. But
this is technically public. People are listening to this.
oh yeah, there's just like, and like I have very supportive friends and family, and like I still remember a DM I got from a friend of mine who was just like, hey, I listen to the podcast. It's I really enjoyed it. I don't watch anime, but you know, it sounds like you're really passionate about it. And he said that about an episode about an anime that I just felt nothing on. Like I was just nothing about it. And he's like, you're really passionate. I was like, oh, I'm broken. I'm broken inside. But I really want to know what your guys' first experience with anime is, because I know, Tim, you're a Naruto newbie,
Yes.
a newbie, sorry. But I don't know your guys' history, so to speak, when it comes to your anime relationship. So how about we start off with you, Jesse? Where did you kind of start with your anime?
I started out pretty young. I was watching Toonami, and I came across two shows, Sailor Moon and Cardcaptor Sakura. And both of those shows, just like, I was just addicted to them immediately. Like, the aesthetics, it drew me in infinitely, and I watched and then got hooked on another level. I started, at the time, it was like weird for me to like other shows like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon or Naruto because they were quote-unquote boy shows. So they were like super, I wasn't like supposed to be watching them at the time, but like I would go to friends' houses and be like, no, we should watch this actually. Or I'd be babysitting and put it on and be like, no, this is normal for me to watch children actually. Go back to bed.
Yeah. I was literally the same with Cardcaptor Sakura, because that would come on Cheese TV as well, and it'd be like, oh, I'll watch it if it's on, but it's secretly I'm like, God, I hope it's on. Please be on.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, what it like, I'm so so glad that like I've got young kids now, and we've kind of transitioned out of like, no, that's a girl show, that's a boy show. Like, no, this is they're truly the generation of what would you like to watch? What is interesting to you? So that's very cool. That's
awesome.
very cool. So Kim, how did you start with this degenerate journey?
Very similarly, I think in 4th grade, so I was about 9 years old, it was Sailor Moon. It was on Toonami, and I got my start watching that. But then I went hard into the weeb paint when I was younger, and I am an elder weeb, I would say. I would have to go to comic shops and get like the bootleg VHSs. I would record off TV so I could watch it on VHS later. Go to Suncoast, buy like a $20 DVD that had 1 episode on it. And so like I was watching Evangelion when I was in middle school, so like 12 or 13, just like watching stuff that I shouldn't, but like it was all I could get my hands on as a kid. Yeah, and like I'd be going to anime conventions like back in 2002, so I was like 12 years old, like totally dressed up in cosplay that I made myself look like shit.
Adorable. That's adorable.
Yeah,
I
so
love that.
that's how I got started. Sailor Moon was my gateway drug, and then I went insane and had no friends.
And Timmy, where did you start? You're the Naruto newbie.
Yeah, I'm a little bit older than them, but pretty much exactly the same story, right? But I was a boy, so I watched Dragon Ball Z, because Toonami, I remember when Toonami started, we're like, what the heck is happening here? Because I was like old enough where we started where Cartoon Network had like really fun stuff, and I was like, okay, of the age to watch the Cartoon Network stuff. And as I got older, they added the more sort of quote unquote gritty animes. And yeah, I remember watching Dragon Ball Z like every now and again, not on Toonami, on somewhere else. I have no idea where it would have been. Or really, watching anime, I didn't know were anime. Where I would wake up early and they were the earlier Saturday morning cartoons. I think things like Exo Squad might have been anime, or at least inspired. Don't quote me on that. I'm just reaching, but definitely things like that. But Dragon Ball Z was the one that really, really got me into it, and then led to like me and my friends doing the mall kiosk thing, watching the horrific dubs of some of the movies with the VHSs with just the horrible quality. I never really went full deep on the anime lifestyle, I guess you'd say, because I was raised extremely religious, and it was I remember like my parents being like, "Hey, this is bad. Some of these animes have nudity in them." I was like, well, which ones are those? Let me avoid it. Just
if I could get a list, of all the ones that have nudity in it, so I know what not to watch.
Yeah. So like,
love that.
Yeah, I remember like there's a movie channel that just played bad movies. It was a cheap channel, so therefore any movie they could afford was bad. And I remember they would occasionally play anime movies, and some of them were legitimately cool, but other ones I was like, will there be a cleavage? Will there be? I was like, not either way, some of them were just bad. But I remember watching a ton of those, just hanging out, and yeah, it was watching like Vampire Hunter D, and then we watched Ninja Scroll when we shouldn't, and things like that. Because we would get together and play Halo, and then maybe rent a movie, and it's like, oh, I heard this is good. And it was like, oh my god, what's happening? But never really went super deep, and kind of fell off some of it. It's one of the slightly funny stories is that I lost like a friend group due to Naruto in college, because Naruto basically started coming out when I was in college, and we were watching it, and I fell asleep during like a really hype moment, and so they would just like. There's one dude just like tried to drive a wedge so that he could make them his friends, and I was like, okay, this sucks. And then I watched like a lot of Bleach and stuff like that, but it was always this slight bit of a bruise on this. Like I always was embarrassed about anime people whenever I would go out. It's like, hey, I'm into video games, I'm into this and that other thing, but cool it. People are pointing.
Yeah,
hide your likes under a bushel, please.
Yeah, like I've always been a pretty big anime fan, but I've always kind of like dipped in and out of the genre, or always kind of, I think I've always kind of like hid how much I've been into it. Like there was a lot of under the surface stuff. Like I'd go to school and people were like, "You're tired?" I'd be like, "Oh yeah, no, I just didn't sleep well." But like, actual fact was I was just burning through some anime series, like some absolute disgusting anime. So like I kept it a little bit because like honestly there was a few, like my high school wasn't too big. I think it was like less than 100 kids in my year. Probably I think there was less than like 60 kids in my year. Like it's a pretty small regional high school here in Australia, and I remember there was 2 really big outspoken anime people, and they could not have been more of a poster child for the worst people ever. Like they were just terrible people.
Oh,
just
really?
like the typical, like, you know, when you like, there's like a checklist of like typical awful otaku culture, like never shower, tick, awful, awful unkept appearance, like tick, real misogynistic, tick, only speaks in like cringeworthy Japanese quotes that they're not quite nailing, like tick, like it's just,
I wish to
and it's just
die.
like, and like everyone in your school, of course you associate anime with them, so I was just like, well, no, I'm nothing like them. So
Yeah,
I was
no,
really
everything
distant.
I ever would have liked, everything that I like as a 25 to whatever year old, that I avoided as a kid was just because, unfortunately, like you said, there's like a person. Like my friends that did watch anime, we were cool as hell, really, honestly. And mostly it's because we loved playing like fighting games, so like Tekken, mostly, and like Dead or Alive and things like that. So it was like of the culture mostly, like, oh, we love martial arts. We did Taekwondo together, so of course we're gonna watch this punching anime. Of course we're gonna do this. But I like got really I was into toys my entire life, and then well after people stopped like playing with action figures, I still did. And I remember one time we were leaving school, and I lived like a block from my school, and walking home with like 4 of my friends, including one of them who did not know my deep dark secret. And I remember I ran home ahead of them. I was like, oh, I gotta go hide my porn. And what it was I had a bunk bed, and the entire bottom bunk was just covered in DBZ figures. And I must have been like 15 or 16 or something like that.
Wow, that's adorable.
Yeah, I remember my dad being
That's
like,
truly adorable behavior.
what are you doing? I was like, yeah.
I just
But
like
it's
I
fun.
just picture your friends just coming in thinking like, man, this dude must really love porn. If you had to leave to clean up that much
Right.
porn.
And that dude also was a
crazy.
nerd, so I feel like we could have, explained it. But it's there's a cat in here. I don't know. Hi, Lucy. It was definitely one of those like I have to feel shame for this, and my life probably would have been better. But I think there's a healthy amount of, just like they say in Naruto, sometimes people need to be bullied more.
Tim's out. I had this really funny experience. Oh, I don't know if it's funny, but like one of the first people I like in high school I was talking to openly about like anime was this girl I used to walk to school with, and her name was Aisha, and she was really lovely, and we lived close together, and I think I was the year above her in school and she was a year below me, but we were really great friends, and she was a really good person. But she was also in this culture, and she did this like out of the kindness of her heart, and I know she was doing the good thing, but like it's also kind of it's almost a shitty thing to do. But at the ripe age of I think I was like 13 or 14. I was young. She gave me her copy of Elven Lied to watch, and I don't know if you've ever watched Elven Lied, but it is not appropriate for a sensitive 14-year-old boy.
Googling.
It is like it's quite full on, and that was like my first non-Cheese TV anime experience, and that kind of it was a lot, and like I watched it all, and I still love it to this day. But like at the time of watching, I was watching it in my room, and I was like, I remember I put it on, and I had my bedroom door open, and I was watching it, and then when like 4 minutes in, I just like got out of my seat, walked over the door, shut the door.
Oh my god.
Was just like put a seat in front of the door. I was like, no one can see me watching this, and then I get back and sat down and just like quietly watched the rest of it. And it was just like there's a lot in there. But
the number one result on Google when you Google it when it's in the people also ask section is, why is Elfen Lied so bad?
yeah, it's look, I'll stand by it. It's a good series, but it's wild. It's like
It's a lot.
there's a lot. It's definitely a lot.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I somehow knew to be ashamed of liking anime like from the very beginning of watching Sailor Moon. I remember my Neopets password was I hate Sailor Moon.
Oh my god.
I went
Oh my
all the
God.
way into being like I hate anime so much. It's
I'm
a lot.
impressed that you remember your Neopets password. Neopets for me is just like a foggy, hazy memory of just like weird purple dragons that kind of look like furries now. Like it's all It's all
Yes.
hazy back then. I've blocked all that stuff out.
Oh, I was
man.
so deep into Neopets. Like, me and my best friend got so deep into it. She would, like, infiltrate guilds and, like, get to the top of the leaders and, like, control the guilds and everything like that. And I was just, like, her little artsy pawn she would, like, bring with and be like, yeah, this is my friend. She does cool art sometimes. And I would
Oh
do
my God.
Neopets drawings for, like,
Oh my
adoptables and
God.
shit like that. I
Oh
was
my
so
God.
deep
Awesome.
into it.
Neopets,
Yes.
man. There's a generation of people out there who Neopets will always just hold such a special place in their heart, and it's honestly adorable. I love it. I really do love it. We should I do like look, okay, there's a question that I've asked basically every guest I've had on. It's called the Golden Mile question. It's about takeout food. But it feels so inappropriate to ask sometimes because I'm an anime podcast and I really just enjoy talking about anime. So I'm going to skip it today because there's so much I need to talk to you guys about when it comes to Naruto. Because as I said before we started recording, I've been watching a bunch of the what you would call Naruto Prime, which I refer to as Naruto OG.
It's also good.
I love the original Naruto, and listening to you guys review the original Naruto through your podcast, it was such a trip down memory lane that it almost forced my hand into watching it again. I remember I was like 5 or 6 episodes into your podcast, and it maybe 3. Whenever you guys started hitting the tune-in exams, I was like, okay, well, I can't listen to people talk about the tune-in exams. I'm gonna have to talk about
Yeah.
it. So the main topic for today, I think I've just called it like what OG Naruto, what it is and what it means to us. Because for me, I think it's such an interesting series because it's a series full of tropes now. Everything Naruto did in the original is tropey. It's a very tropey series because it's almost the birthplace of a lot of these tropes. I mean, you could argue that
Yeah.
DBZ is, but Naruto kind of is. So what does the original Naruto mean to you guys now that you've reviewed the whole OG Naruto? Like, what does it mean to you guys now? Like, where are you guys sitting with your relationship with it?
Oh, geez. It means so much to me. I fucking love original Naruto. Like, I mean, it's how I got into, like, Sakuga and animation and got really intrigued into that whole pathway. Because the animation in the original, the 3, like, fights, the Hokage fight, the fight with Orochimaru and Sasuke, and then the Naruto Sasuke fight are so groundbreaking in animation that, like, watching them, it takes you to another level of, I don't even know. Like, it's just incredible to see. It's incredible to see the raw talent on screen. Like, and someone be able to, like, dream this stuff up and then create it. Animation is magic. I say it a lot, but these episodes, like the divine episodes as they're commonly referred to, they're just amazing. And I mean, it just means a lot to me to be able to, like, see that and experience it and to, like, know that people put so much work behind those and, like,
Yeah.
they, like, really wanted the audience to feel something, and it's so effective.
And you're the only one, I think, amongst all of us who's been a Naruto fan since you were, like, young.
Yeah, yeah, I was also the baby Naruto fan. So, like, I was out there watching it on Toonami. Like, I remember watching the Zabuza fight when I was a kid and everything, and, like, it was just rad.
I think you're closer to my age, aren't you, Jesse? I'm 27 at the moment, so I feel like we would have been around the same age when Naruto first kind of hit the scene. Because I remember being, like, fucking young when when I first started watching Naruto. So it's just like, it's something that's always existed to me because it was just it was so prevalent. Like, it was the original. Actually, it probably wouldn't be in the original series of Pokemon. It probably would have been like the second or third. Oh no, it would have been like Orange Island Pokemon that was coming out when Naruto was coming out. So for me, those two are just like, they started off at the same time. Like, it's so, like, it's been with me forever, which it's like, it's crazy to think about. So yeah, it's such a special thing to have. And, like, the fact that, like, my kids now are watching, like, Boruto and stuff like that, it's wild. It's insane.
Yeah, that's
sweet.
gotta be wild. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I thought it was I didn't know what to expect going into it because I've seen, like, gifs of things here and there, you know, like I've seen Rock Lee take off his weights and that rock, and I knew that rocked. I knew I liked Rock Lee just from watching other stuff. But really, you know, kind of the thing that struck me and hit me so hard when we watched and made me go from, oh, this is fun to watch, like no, this is legitimately good. And it's something that I really appreciated. Talking about like how Kim said she's like the elder statesman of anime, of like, no, Naruto is good. And not only that, Naruto has one of the things that I really think rocks, and that oftentimes when people talk about who their favorite character is in an anime, very rarely is it the named guy, right? But a lot of people do say Naruto, which is it, like, obviously your Rock Lees and your Shikamaru's and Gaara's are there, but everyone's always like, but also gotta get it for Naruto. And then learning about his like superpower to like see the conflict through other people's eyes, and to just constantly scream at the world that the injustices that it's doing are bullshit, and to never like back down. And then like I remember almost like crying during the Zabuza fight, because it's like I didn't realize that it was such an emotional sort of thing that he's doing, and such a beautiful perspective on these styles of shows. It's not the, hey, let's punch and save the earth, right? It's we live in a terrible society, and we have to say that's bullshit in the eyes of whatever tragedy, and then like never give up, and yada yada yada. And yeah, continually now in Shippuden they like explicitly say that, like, it happens all the time through Naruto OG, but in Shippuden they're like, this is what Naruto's good at. And then I'm just like, oh my god, like, he's the boy. he's a perfect boy.
Yeah.
And I think that's.
Believe
I'm
it.
so sorry. Did you want to say?
No, you're right. You're go. I'm just over here just loving it. I'm loving it. It's great.
Hell yeah. And I think that's really the biggest benefit that the show has been for me personally, because prior to doing the show, I had watched it with my husband just for fun, and like it was something we would do because we were long distance, and whenever he would come visit me, we'd watch it together. And then I would just sort of read it yearly, because a little treat. Everyone loves a little Naruto treat, but being able to do this podcast and sort of almost meditatively like focus on little like snapshots of Naruto at a time, and take the time to like fully digest it just bit by bit, instead of how I usually consume it, which is like binge watching or binge reading. And being able to reflect on it and getting to hear Tim's predictions and reactions to things has been a very unexpected joy.
Oh, it's so much fun to listen to. Like, as someone who's watched and is listening, like, I've heard Tim say some stuff. I'm like, fucking, you are so far off the mark there, brother. It's not even, you're not even on the field. And then sometimes you say something, you predict something. I'm like, you know what, Tim? I think you're fucking on the money here. You're getting some inside information, because there's fucking no way you guessed that by yourself. But like, no, it's really fun.
Yeah, no, I think sort of how I said before, like, our show only works if we make the bad choice. If we go against the YouTube algorithm and say, no, we're gonna obviously edit ourselves, but we have an editor, and if we think something's bad, we cut it. But we don't really edit for content unless we do a boo-boo and don't want to get canceled. Because we want that to be that stream of consciousness, sort of like emotional response to the show, and however long that takes, it's how long it takes. And we somehow we're consistently, our recording time, even with breaks and other stuff, is 1 hour and 55 minutes. Like 90% of the time, it's within a minute or two of that. Even if we take a 10-minute break, if we take no breaks, somehow it happens. I guess we just know. But there's so many things that you can just you don't realize that you just talked about this 2-minute thing for 12 minutes. And then you talk about this 2-minute thing for 12 minutes, and then you spin out, and you're not talking about Naruto anymore. You're talking about sort of just like as broad as everything, or as specific as anime, or as specific and one of my favorite parts of it is like talking about how just art, right? And how it can affect you, and how it can tell stories and things like that. And I think that whole cluster of emotions is really like part of the answer of why Naruto is important. It's really interesting because some friends of mine who they watch like a lot of trash. Like they watch a ton of do you know what I mean when I say Hallmark movies? That's a channel here. I don't know if that is
Yeah,
idiom.
it's not a channel here. It's a category on Netflix Australia.
Okay.
Hallmark movies. Yeah,
Got it. Yeah.
it's my mother-in-law's favorite channel.
Exactly.
Just for a little.
Yeah,
she
it's-
loves it. Fucking loves it.
for anyone that might not know, basically it's just like weird, bad, low budget movies made for housewives and all the yikes that goes on that way, and so they watch a lot of that. So they seep themselves in not good stuff. And when they talked about not really liking Naruto, we can't get through this, and I was kind of like, I kind of ruminated on how do I tell someone who knows. All these friends met my wife through a JoJo, like, on Twitter, like JoJo Bizarre Adventure. How do I, like, convince them to watch it when so much of those early episodes are so silly and not very good, even if they're successful as a program, but they don't go to that next level until later, right? And I just kind of thought about it. It's like, I don't really have an answer. I just think you have to keep watching. I think you have to, if you don't have fun with the shonen aspect of it and the getting over how bad some of those early episodes are, if you can't do that, I don't really know if I can be like, no, you have to get through it, because I don't think it's consistent enough, even though I do think it's amazing, right? I think if that sort of hook doesn't get into you as an adult, that's what I'm probably speaking of as adult. I don't know how to convince you, and I kind of thought about, like, I don't want to use my energy to convince you. That's fine. People that can come to it. I don't need to convince you about it.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's kind of the cool thing about Naruto is that it has so many fans, and the fans are still way out here and like very loud
Right.
about the show for the most part. And like that's another thing that I think really draws people in of like, well, what is this about, and how is this fan base still surviving after so
Right.
fucking long?
How do we
Like,
have any listeners, right?
right? Truly though, but like it's still thriving, and it's going really well, and that's kind of the answer. I feel like is, well, look at the fans, like they're happy.
Yeah.
I feel like One Piece is another thing that like really struggles with this, but like you just see the fans go wild week after week for each episode, and it's like there's something here that like maybe I should be a part of. I know it's a big investment, but
Right.
there's definitely like a gold nugget in there somewhere that I kind of want to get to.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like with something that's lasted as long as Naruto or One Piece, when people say, "Oh, it's not that good," you just come back with, like, you just have to say, "Well, no, it has to be doing something right." If it's
Right.
like with One Piece, for example, it's made 1,000 episodes and it's every week. It's out
Yeah.
every week, and people are still just
But
like
on
frothing
the
at
other
the
hand,
mouth.
no
for
one
it.
likes Bleach, and there's a million episodes of it. I've never heard anyone
love Bleach.
talk
I
about Bleach
love
positively
Bleach.
after the Soul Society arc. Like,
I love Bleach.
everyone, including
Soul
myself.
Society arc is very good.
Yeah, the beginning, amazing. Soul Society arc, amazing. What is it? The Vamp arc or Vance? Like, sucks.
Bounce.
Bounce, yeah.
But it's like this thing, like, and it's happened with me a few times where people have like, "Oh, I'm not going to watch Naruto because there's too much of it," and I always think, well, like, yeah, there is a lot of it, but that's usually a good indication that something's at least good enough to make a lot of it. Like if a TV show's bad, it doesn't make many seasons.
Especially
if
an anime.
anime's bad, it does. Yeah, if an anime's bad, or it doesn't have groundswell, it won't make many seasons. Naruto went on through, there's 230-ish episodes of Naruto, I want to say, like 500 episodes of Shippuden, and then what episode of Boruto's out now? I think they're into the 3. I don't even know. I fell off Boruto so long ago, it's not even funny. Like, clearly there's something there for people. Clearly it's not just a nostalgia thing. If it was a nostalgia thing, we
Yeah,
all would
that's
have
a good
dropped
point.
off long ago. There's more than that there. It is substantial. And like, I think for me, Naruto will always hold like a really special place in my heart. Not only was it like one of my first anime, but like I've also got like so many weird kind of stories connected to it. Like, sure, I'll tell this story.
Yeah.
So this is,
Let's go.
I'm just gonna write down the time in case I want to edit this out later. We'll see. Okay, so 45. Okay, cool. So When I was a teenager, I was 17. I lost my virginity. So there was this lovely lady named Lauren. She was quite nice, and
Shout
me and
out.
her had been on and off for a while. Anyway, yada yada yada. We ended up. She came over to my house one night after a party, and we did the horizontal hokey pokey. Things got heated, and in the morning, I was filled with regret and sadness because like it wasn't how I wanted it to happen. It was anyway. There's a whole story behind it. I was just she wasn't the person I should have lost my virginity to. Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. But and I think people can relate to this experience. After like a kind of one night stand ish, you want that person to kind of scoot the poot as much as possible. You want that person to leave. And so I was heavily implying, it's time to go, Lauren. It's time to go. Let's get out of here. My parents weren't home at the time. My older brother was though. My older brother Kurt was home, and my older brother Kurt is kind of like he's one of those people I was describing to you as like a bad anime fan. Like he's the anime fan that gives the rest of us a bad name. Anyway. He was in the lounge room watching Naruto at the time, and Lauren was an anime fan too, so she decided to stay and watch a few episodes of Shippuden. So then I had to sit with her and my brother on the lounge. My brother and I also shared like a downstairs space, so I'm pretty confident to this day, although we've never talked about it, that he knew what happened the night before and that we might. So we just had to sit there and watch 3 episodes of Shippuden, and it was during the Sasuke Killer Bee arc, I think maybe. Where Sasuke goes. So it's a good arc, but I'm like, I don't want to fucking watch this shit right now. And then after we watched those episodes, we plugged in. Kurt was like, I've got the Naruto game. Would you like to play some? Would you like to play some Naruto game on the Xbox and on the PlayStation? I think it was. And she was like, yeah. So then she played like 5 rounds of this Naruto fighting game, and the whole time I'm sitting there with just like the weight of shame and regret weighing so heavy on my shoulders.
Did your brother marry Lauren? Or?
No.
Damn, that would have been a great. No, okay.
I'm sorry.
It's like it's a genuinely like it's funny, but also like at the time I'm like, well, I'm never gonna enjoy Naruto again because this kind of ruined it to me. So like it's always like got this weird place in my kind of heart. Like it's something that I'll always remember. But like just that morning, I remember just like listening to the Naruto OP for Shippuden. I'm like, there is literally no one on earth I'd rather that I would want next to me less than Lauren right now. Like it feels awful. Lauren, if by some absurd miracle that you're listening to this, Lauren, I'm sorry that I'm bad mouthing you, but I was drunk.
When we get to that arc, we'll have to give a shout out to y'all.
Yeah.
Oh my
we
god.
had opposite experiences because all of my post-nut narts have been very positive experiences.
I wish. I mean, my current wife. What the fuck is that? My wife.
You never know the future,
Yeah, my wife. She's a massive Attack on Titan fan, and I remember December last year when the final season part 1 was airing. I was like, I was laying on the moon. I lit some candles. I was like, we can get some business going here. And she's like, we haven't watched the episode yet. I'm like, yeah, but we can stream it later. It's fine. She's like, no, we need to watch the episode. So I was just, I suppose we'll watch the episode first. And it's like I put on the moves. Like I was lighting candles. I got the essential oils out. Like business was ready to go, but like anime had to come
My
first.
anime.
I know. Rough.
Oh, that rules.
Rough. Now, I wanted to ask you guys a few questions about the original Naruto. Now that you've watched it all and you've kind of reviewed it all for Naruto Reviewto, do you guys have any standout arcs or characters that you want to talk about? Because like for me, I still hold the Chunin exam arc as maybe the best arc in anime ever. I don't know, like it's a big call, but it's the one I think about the most. I think about it all the fucking time.
It's really good. Yeah.
It's ridiculously good.
The cultural touchstone of the Gaara Rock Lee fight when he takes off the weights, you cannot deny that. There's
Right.
nothing really top that.
Like Chunin exam arc, we get the introduction of the Sand siblings, like all 3 of them. Like I'm a massive Gaara fan. I love Tamari. Konkuru has like my favorite outfit in all of Naruto. Like little wannabe emo pudgy 15-year-old me with like saw the purple eye makeup and was like, I can do that. I can pull that off. That's fine. But like we also get Orochimaru's introduction there. Like it's such a pivotal moment in the series, and I think it's I think it doesn't miss a beat. Did you guys feel the same way when you guys were rewatching it, or Tim watching it for the first time?
One thing that was kind of funny, and I say this still, I would not have watched Naruto if not for the podcast. I probably would have binged it and then bounced off of it at some point, because I did that. And it's sort of funny, me and my wife watched it, and we've watched a ton of anime and liked a ton of anime, yada, yada, yada. But we got to the Chunin exams when they're about to go in the Forest of Death or whatever it's called. And we just stopped watching. And everyone's like, what the fuck? I was like, there's a lot of episodes, man. And they're not always good. And then when I went through and rewatched it, I was like, what was I doing? This rocks.
Yeah. That's like edging and then deciding not to come. Like I don't.
I know what, I'm good.
Fucking ridiculous.
I got what I wanted out of this. I misunderstood the situation. Yeah, no, I think I would agree. I there's parts of the Sasuke retrieval arc that I love, but Chunin exam just, it's so long. I could see there's like a couple episodes. If you watch there has to be a really good Naruto viewing guide that cuts out like unnecessary stuff. It might not even touch the Chunin exams because even the non-essential ones are pretty good. But there's so much happening there, and then if you go all the way up until the Orochimaru attack and stuff, it's so good. And still, the Gaara Rock Lee fight is one of my favorites. I think that's what I said was my favorite. And I just love Gaara so much that it's him just being awesome from the start. There's so much character going out, like the way the other teams are just like rascal goblins throughout the whole Forest of Death part. It's so funny.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the most striking moments was the Hokage fight, especially like as a kid, because it just hits on a completely different level. And you're watching it and you're like, I'm watching something different right now almost. Like I'm not watching anime. I'm watching something else almost.
Yeah.
Like it's elevated to a new level. With just the care that they took to animate like every fucking frame in that show. It was just beautiful, and like I don't know, it just you just like it a lot.
Yeah, that Hokage fight is it's just like, even now when I think about it, like looking back, I'm like, it's not like there's no part of my brain that's like it's not as good as you remember. It's always as good as I remember. Like it's ridiculous to think that like Naruto came out, I want to say early 2000s, like maybe like 2001, something like that. And it's crazy to think like that was happening in 2000s. Like that's, it's so beautiful. It's so impactful. And it's one of the only shows, or one of the shows that comes to mind most of when I think of like really great sound design throughout the whole series. Like, there's sound bites throughout that series that will always always make me remember certain characters. Like the Sasuke Outback guitar thing from Shippuden, like the Sasuke guitar that Sasuke gets, whereas every time Sasuke's on screen, it's like this like Outback kind of like twanging guitar sound. Like that sound will always just be like burnt into my memory. Like that's Sasuke's sound. That's Sasuke when he's a bad boy sound. Like
the Akatsuki men's choir that happens.
Oh
Yeah.
God. And all of it's so good. It's insane that there's just so much of it, and like every part of it, with the exception of filler for the most part, is just like it's easy to think that part could be someone's favorite part. You know what I mean? Like there's every part of it could be someone's favorite, and Naruto for me is always man. God, I fucking love Naruto. I really do.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah,
So good.
I think there's probably an argument to make that there is a way to make it better, but that requires like a kiss of editing. But for a show that didn't have to be that good, even then, really, it is like kind of astounding to see what they did. Like part of me does, if they ever like went through and like, all right, maybe we'll goose this a little bit, we'll goose that a little bit, like won't cut content per se or storylines per se, but I feel like there's a couple episodes that can be shrunk and things like that. That would
Also,
trim some of the fat, and that would make it better. But besides that, like you don't even need to. it's so good throughout that whole entire. So many different things happen in that arc. Over and over, like all the crazy shit happens. Like so much crazy shit happens. Like in that.
Yeah, man, that's like
It's
Sasuke
insane.
curse mark in that, like in that arc, like also it's kind of maybe one of the only times Sakura's ever like an actual badass. Like the hair cutting scene is still like it's good. Like it's just very good,
Yeah,
and she's a
for sure.
character that arguably doesn't get that much good screen time throughout the series.
No.
Like it kind of sucks. Like she's probably one of the parts that you like, you know, if you're given the magic wand where you could go back and fix something, you would probably be like, yeah, I might, you know, like sprinkle in a storyline for her. Considering she's the only female character that gets significant screen time. Let's maybe give her some growth or
You know how you
arc.
made her good in Shippuden in the first part? Do that, but here.
Yeah, do that, but the whole series.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You keep going on about how the, you know, Team 7's like the team. How about you
Yeah.
actually recognize the other member of Team 7? Like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Kakashi sees Sakura in Shippuden. He's like, "Oh, I haven't seen you for 3 years." Like, Kakashi, what the hell is your problem? You freak!
I mean,
Falling out of love of Kakashi, I think, was the surprise for me of OG Naruto. It's like, he's hot, he's a depressed dumbass. I do not respect him. I had to reframe him from sexy man in anime that's a badass to he should not be around children. He needs therapy. But everyone needs therapy, so it's fine.
Everyone needs therapy. I will always love Kakashi Sensei.
I love him
It's
now,
It's impossible not to love Kakashi Sensei. Like, he can, like, fingers up my bum, like, any day he wants. Like, it's... Daddy Kakashi. I really, really want to know, and this is purely... No one cares about this but me, but do you guys have a favorite outfit from the OG Naruto? Because we get so many good ones. Like, I am obsessed with what they, like, animators choose to dress their characters in, because, like, for me, like, just off the top of my, like, just thinking, like, Sasuke's second outfit, his more emo outfit, where he's got the shoulder pads and everything. I love it. I love it. I know it's over the top. I know it looks like he fucking robbed a Hot Topic. Like, I know. But I still fucking love it. Konkuro's outfit, as previously mentioned, the dog ears, the purple, I fucking give it to me. And then, like, even like Shino, the popped collar, the Morpheus glasses, I love it. I love everything about it. Do you guys have a standout favorite character?
Orochi
Outfit?
fucking Maru.
Orochimaru,
fucking
yeah.
Maru,
Yeah.
Serving cunt every goddamn day. Looking great, has an aesthetic, refuses to let it go. You know, just an icon in every sense of the word.
Yeah, when you first asked the question, my first answer was Orochimaru. Like
do
those,
love him.
he's like, yeah, he's just a freak. We do talk about Anko's outfit a lot because we couldn't figure out if the mesh outfit that the ninjas wear was chainmail or not. And we get confirmation in Shippuden, and we probably got explicit confirmation earlier, but, you know, in Shippuden, one character takes theirs off and they add a chainmail noise. Because Anko is an anime character that has an anime character's chest, but, you know, with a skin suit made of chainmail. So we're like, Anko, your nipples. What's happening down there? We're very, very scared for her. So that
We're
one I
very
like to think about, because that one's it's a very weird outfit.
It
And all of
is.
this is due to Kishimoto being so influenced by the Matrix for the costumes, which is so fun to me.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that makes so much more sense. You probably said that before, and I said the exact same line. Oh, that makes so much more sense. I think Kuronice is probably...
Episode 1, I believe you said that, and I'm pretty sure, Tim, your reaction was the same thing. Oh, that's really cool.
Oh, yeah. It's,
I think
never listen to
I
yourself
honestly
'cause
think
you
it could have
realize,
been verbatim. I
You just say the
honestly
same
do.
shit over and over again. I think Kuronice probably has the best outfit for someone that's not on screen a lot, because there's a lot of like weird stuff going on with her.
10-10. I mean, 10-10's pink
true.
shirt, green pants. It shouldn't work, but it fucking does every time, and I'm all for it.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
I really like Tamari's second outfit where she comes for the Sasuke retrieval arc. That outfit bangs really hard.
Yeah,
that
fucking
works.
that goes off. I mean, for a show called Naruto, I think Naruto gets the worst outfits throughout the whole
For
series.
sure.
Like the
Yeah,
orange blue is terrible.
When they make a joke about him wearing Rock Lee's outfit. I was like, please, 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 please. Not even a little bit. Damn it. Gotta give it for Rock Lee, Mike guy, right?
I really like I think we did a top 5 episode of Naruto characters on this channel not 3 episodes ago. I think it might have been the last episode. I can't remember. And I
think it was the last one. I listened to it today.
Yeah,
to get ready.
I went on about Rock Lee because I really do love Rock Lee. I think Rock Lee is a fantastic character, and him in the Chunin exams is spectacular. His outfit in the Chunin exams is amazing, and his outfit throughout the whole series is amazing. He doesn't really ever change. I don't think he gets any alter. I think he gets a few more satchels on his.
He adds the what is it, Chunin vest.
He gets like the 90s comic book aesthetic, which is just pockets.
Yeah, exactly.
He looks more like Mike Guy as he goes along.
Yeah. Now, you guys mentioned briefly the Sasuke retrieval arc. I think it's a really fascinating arc because it often gets outshined by the Chunin exams arcs, but in itself, the Sasuke retrieval arc is a fascinating arc because we spend time with characters that don't really have time to shine. And for me, personally, as a previously mentioned fat kid, I don't know if I mentioned that on this podcast or the last podcast I recorded, but yes. Choji's bit in the Sasuke retrieval arc it's great. I mean, it's what every fat kid secretly dreams, that he could burn all his fat off in an instant and become super buff, and that was his superpower all along. Being fat was his superpower, guys. It was his superpower. And it's like, it's great. Do you guys have a standout moment during the Sasuke retrieval arc for yourself, or?
Choji's definitely is a big one for me because previously all we've seen of Choji is just him being cranky and angry and just like, oh, Shikamaru's like little dumb friend who eat chippy and lie.
Yeah.
But we find out like how sensitive he is and like what an absolute sweetheart he is and how much he cares about his friends and how much he especially cares about Shikamaru. And just finally getting that insight into his character, I really, really liked. I love the Kimi-Maru fight because I love a little sad waif with bones. I love bone power. And plus, it's like his character is really interesting because he was part of the boy zoo. He's been released, sent back out into nature to die. But just like his love and affection for Orochimaru does not make sense, but it's so compelling to see.
Yeah. And it's it's foil is Kabuto's weird version.
Yeah.
And it's completely different and all this other stuff. Yeah, no, that arc I love, and it's sort of what I assumed the parts of this, what I assumed the filler would be. It's like, okay, well, obviously Naruto and them can't do as much stuff, so let's have an arc without our friend Naruto. That's not the case. Sometimes they will, obviously, in the filler, have the character stand out, and that part I did like, whatever. But the fact that we are doing this big, event, trying to get back the other main character, with the other main character running at him, but it's just such a compelling thing in media where, all right, I'll take this guy, you guys go ahead. And everyone agrees that's how it works. So they keep going. They don't have enough time to gang up on this guy, and they just keep going. I liked all of those fights. I kind of go back and forth on Kiba's fight. I like Kiba's enemy more than I liked Kiba in it. I haven't found a joy for Kiba. I think when he turns into a big dog is neat, but I don't think he's been given the cool shit yet, and his moves always fail, which is kind of funny.
He never gets the cool shit either. Like he's like basic bitch anime guy, if you know what I mean. Like
totally.
He's like first draft anime pro tag, you know what I mean? Like
right.
he's so, and like there's always this feeling that there's so much potential behind Kiba. I think it's even mentioned in the original Naruto that he's like a very talented young shinobi, a young ninja. He's and he just never does anything. Like honestly, he just never succeeds in anything he's trying.
Right.
And he's always just so middle of the road. And he's the anime character that I feel people with little to no personality gravitate towards the most. And if you're a Kiba fan out there, I'm so sorry for blowing up your spot. But also, it's kind of true.
I like his hot sister.
Kind of true. His sister is smoking. And like That's a really interesting thing. But we'll go back to. I want to hear what Jesse thinks about the Sasuke retrieval arc.
Well, the Neji spider fight is burned into my skull for all eternity.
Rules.
So unforgettable there. But I think for me, the highlight for me is Drunk Rock Lee. I love the Drunk Rock Lee fight so fucking much. And then when Gaara comes in to like save, that moment is absolutely precious.
Yeah.
Drunk Rock Lee is like the best comparison of subbed and dubbed too. Like, because dubbed Rock Lee, Drunk Rock Lee is breathtakingly funny. Where subbed Rock Lee is breathtakingly funny when he's drunk, because like the Japanese voice actor just goes fucking ham on it the whole time. Like it's so great, and like the dubbed, he doesn't commit as hard, but like when you watch that shit subbed, it is he goes so ham on that voiceover. It's great.
I should check that out. Yeah, it's interesting that whole fight can hang with the series, and I think that's probably such a, if your 4th place, 5th place, 6th place fight is this, I think that like almost says more than your top fights, right?
Yeah, honestly, the quality of what we get, and just like I think that also just sort of speaks to the fact that I remember reading an interview about Kishimoto, and he loves watching action movies, and he keeps notebooks where he just jots down story things he likes from movies that he watches, and I think that's why so many of his action sequences are so just like deeply satisfying. Philip, like you were saying, with like the Chunin exam is like the perfect tournament arc, and I think it's because he consumes so many stories that he's able to sort of distill it into its more perfected form and give us exactly what we want.
I 100% agree, and I am nowhere close to finishing this conversation, but I just finished my 4th beer, and if I don't go to the bathroom right now, so we're just going to take the quickest pause while I duck to the loo, because I'm so excited for this conversation, but honestly, I'm in physical pain right now. So.
No, you're good. You're good.
Podcast
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
The Hypnotoad. All glory to the Hypnotoad.
Rightio, let's get back into this. I've got a few more questions for you guys, and seeing that you guys are, I'm calling it the quote unquote Naruto experts of Dorktown. You guys can have that. You guys can have that title. Do you guys feel like, and I know Tim, this is a bit hard for you because you haven't watched all of Shippuden yet. Do you guys feel like Naruto the original outshines Shippuden, or do you think Shippuden does outshine Naruto by the end of it? I know it's.
Let me take this one. I've seen 40 episodes of Shippuden, and the answer is I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's really hard to compare the two because they're on two different playing levels. Like, obviously, Shippuden gets more budget. They get other animators onboarded and stuff like that, which brings another sort of magic to the show. But the original has such of that, like, originality magic to it that it's hard to say that one is better than the other. With all of that being said, I do really, really enjoy Naruto Shippuden just because it builds upon what was already created, the foundation, basically. And it builds in such a positive way that the payoffs feel really, really good. Like, you know, the pain arc feels really, really good going through it and stuff like that. And you know, just
Timmy.
wait, Tim,
I'm
you're
not
going to get
allowed
to
to
it.
Google or ask questions or anything.
This is like.
I'm a stupid boy, and I keep spoiling.
This is like this is like when I get to talk to like expecting fathers, like a kid, like guys who haven't had kids yet, and like myself, I've been lucky enough to have two beautiful children, and when they come to me and like, oh, what do I expect, and I just get to like lay my hand on their shoulder and just be like, you can expect the world, mate. They're gonna give you everything. I feel like that with Tim right now with the pain arc. I'm like, Tim. You can expect everything. The pain arc will change. You will forever chronological like note your life in like post pain and after pain. Like
I love that.
The pain arc really. I think it hits on another level. But we'll get to that when I get you guys back to talk about Shippuden. Which
I'll say that for my small bit is that. The first 40-some episodes that we've watched, 47 I think, it's really, 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 really good at Shippuden. And my assumption is it's going to be a kissy mix of like how I sometimes describe it is, while Mass Effect 1 is not the best Mass Effect, you kind of got to grade on a curve because it's the first one, right? And I think you do need to grade on curves on certain things, right? You can't be like, well, this is the blah 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 blah. The Baconator had to exist later after other things. But my assumption is that if you cut down Shippuden's filler versus cutting down Naruto's Prime, I'd probably like Shippuden's more. Is my called shot currently.
Yeah, see, I fall in such an interesting place with this because it's hard. It's actually not. I think it's impossible for me to take nostalgia out of the equation because.
Oh yeah, please don't.
As I said, like Naruto, it's just there's so much. Not only was it like my first experience with anime, but like also one of my like how I first kind of started watching it in bulk form, like. Apart from watching, one episode every day when it aired on TV, and I'd like to say that the original runtime of Naruto and Cheese TV, I'm pretty sure it only originally ran for the first like the Mist arc, the Mist Village arc. So we didn't get like tuning exams or anything like that on the main thing. On the TV, so I had to seek that out, and the way I seeked that out was there was at this point in my life I was attending like youth group, which is like a church group thing, like it's every Friday night, kids youth group.
Yes, one of us.
Yeah, I mean that's where I was at the time, and there was these two quote unquote older guys, older cooler guys, who were there who like at the time I idolized these guys as like the coolest people they could ever be, but looking back on it, they were two like early 20s guys that would do pretend Naruto fights in church on Friday night, and it's like
I have decided. I know we've kind of talked about like stereotypical anime fans not being good. For some reason, even though they're doing a lot of what we're saying, these dudes rock. Dudes rock. Seal of approval.
Shout out to Nathan and Jed from Blue Cross Church, and like it's like admittedly like they played the drums in the church band. Nathan played the drums in the church band, and Jed played the guitar in the church band. So these guys were like the epitome of cool for me, and I saw them doing like fake hand signs in church, and I like sheepishly went up to them. I was like, is that from Naruto? Yeah, I've seen a few episodes. I really like it. Yeah, no, that's cool. We should be friends because I want to be just like you. And they
smoke
did
this weed, 8-year-old.
Yeah, they did the ultimate cool guy thing, which is Nathan. He gave me I have such vivid memories of this. He gave me a CD case, and the CD case was in the shape of like a soccer ball, so it was like a soccer ball print CD case, and he gave it to me, and it was English dubbed Naruto episodes, and it was labeled, every disc had like 3 episodes on it, and it was from episode 1 to all the tuning exams and a little bit past the tuning exams, and it was all that, and it was all labeled like episode da 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 da, episode da 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 da.
Oh my god.
And he gave this to me, and he goes, look, just be really careful with these, and I'll need them back in a fortnight. I was like, cool, Nathan. You could literally ask me to give you a kidney and I would do it at this point. Like, you have anything is yours, buddy. And he gave this to me, and I went home, and this was like probably one of my first experiences with like truly binge watching something. And I just watched it. I watched it all. And like legitimately fell in love with it. And it's like it's such a nice memory for me because like it's got all the components for a nice memory. It's someone older than me looking out for me and like helping me into the community. They weren't gatekeeping anything. They were really open, and like he was like, and I remember when I gave back the DVD case, like in a fortnight's time, him and Jed were just like, yeah, no. So what'd you think? What was your favorite character?
Oh my god, they followed it up too. That rules, man.
Yeah, they followed it up just by being like genuinely good people, and it's yeah. So for me, I can't remove nostalgia from Naruto. So I think Naruto will always hold a really special place for me, and I think for that point alone, I rate it higher than Shippuden. But like that being said, I remember when my wife was pregnant with our second child, we were doing a rewatch of Shippuden. So I just have so many memories of her just being, like laying on the lounge complaining about, pregnancy, because it's genuinely an awful experience for most people. Just complaining about it, and me just being like, yeah, well, I can't really help much, but that's Sasuke. He's quite easy on the eyes, if you know what I mean,
Look at this rascal. to distract you with his problems.
I'm glad to know that you can relate to our show both as a Naruto fan and as a Christian school dropout, like we all are.
Yeah.
Oh, I went to a public school. I just purposely sought out a Christian youth group because I don't know, like this is not the podcast for this topic, but also I kind of want to talk about it. But like there is something about like a Christian youth pastor that is a level of confidence that I will never achieve. That I've been striving for my entire life, but I will never reach that
But
high.
there is a certain aspect to it, though. It's like everything you said is correct, but there's just a vibe to it. It's like, well, that's all they can do. Is they have maxed out stats, but somehow the perfect concoction or whatever. That's just what they are. There's a comedian named Pete Holmes, and he has a joke.
Hey, you went to my school.
Oh, cool. What? That I think is really funny is basically he's like, look at me. Every other possible universe, I'm a youth pastor, but in this one, thank God, I'm a stand-up comedian, and I believe that is probably a true statement for most of them.
It's crazy, and like again, not the podcast to be talking about this, but I'm kind of happy we are. Like I still like I went to a minister's youth pastors conference. So basically, what happened was I was this little like not orphan. I wasn't orphaned. I had a family, but basically the church saw me as this little orphan boy, and I was sent to a men's conference in the capital of in Sydney, Australia. So it was like a 4-hour, and I think it was like a 6-hour drive. So they paid me full expenses paid. They took me to this young Christian men's conference, and I get there, and it is like a sea of overly confident youth pastors. Like everyone is like, and this is like peak, like everyone's wearing skinny jeans, tight polo shirts, there's emo flames everywhere. Like I could smell hair gel when you walked into the venue. Like it was phenomenal. And like they're even like, I remember the gift shop. I remember the gift shop selling like exclusively young, cool, hip youth pastor things. Like it was like, hey, do you want a Bible? I was like, yeah, I want a Bible. He's like, do you want a Bible that's a recycled old beer can turned into a hardcover Bible?
Oh my
like,
God.
It's just like,
That is Nashville, Tennessee. That is
It's
the
just
city
like-
that I live next to.
Jesus.
so yeah, that's
But honestly,
I
you know,
digress.
what does Naruto teach you other than you should approach life with a healthy scoop of skepticism?
Believe
Because
it.
those that come before you fucked up and made the world worse for you, and you have to struggle and scrape your way through due to someone else's problems. And when you learn something new, you too should be like Naruto, have 0 brain cells, and instead of being like, well, like I guess if they did it made sense, say, no way, that sucks. If we had more Narutos around there, then I think the world would be a better place.
100%. Oh my God. And that's such an interesting thing. And I kind of want to talk about this because I think it's fascinating to find out what side of the scale you guys land on. So I'm going to ask you point blank. Jessie, I'll start with you. Jessie,
Okay.
Are you a Naruto or are you a Sasuke girl?
Oh, I'm definitely a Naruto girl. I love Naruto a lot. I definitely like Sasuke, but he just is a little too edgy for me a lot of times.
And I think
He's an edgy boy.
if you don't know Jesse, this is such a huge endorsement for Naruto because
Yeah, it truly is.
like Sasuke is standing. You know, if there's like a family picture of the boys for which she liked, you know, going back now wherever, Sasuke is just a kiss out of frame. You don't even see his like elbow. So I think everything she said is true, but I just want to like nail home to the listeners out there that Sasuke should be her shit, and it's ultimately unsuccessful.
Right? Yeah. No,
That's
totally.
fascinating. That's very fascinating.
I like Itachi a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, see that's the
Wow, so
okay.
wait, you're an Itachi fangirl, and you're like, nah, Sasuke's a bit much, you know? No. You're like, Sasuke's a bit much, but like Daddy Itachi, who's like Sasuke on steroids.
See,
Too much.
Itachi is anti-cop, therefore making him cooler than...
Yeah. Sasuke's trying too hard. He's
Yeah.
like, I gotta
Oh my
be
God.
edgy.
Every Uchiha is trying too hard. It's the clan, it's the motto's clan. Just try
Yeah.
too hard.
Yes.
Sasuke
Okay,
is
what
hot
are-
topic. Itachi is thrift store and make clothes level.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'll do an Australian translation for our Australian listeners. Sasuke is JJ's and Naruto is op shops. Look at that. Cultural differences, guys. Okay, so Kim, Sasuke or Naruto?
It's absolutely fucking gotta be Naruto. And to answer your question about which one I prefer, Naruto Prime or Naruto Shippuden, the main reason I like Shippuden better is because of Naruto's growth. I've said this on the show before, but I'll say it again. Naruto is my favorite shonen protagonist just because of the growth he goes through and the depth that he gets in Shippuden. Like, he has a straight-up panic attack at one point. And that, like, I have never seen a protagonist feel the weight of what they're going through as part of the story. I've never seen a hero sort of break down under the immense burden that they carry. And I find that fascinating, that he's such, like, a sunshiny boy, but at the same time he has this great well of, like, loneliness and sadness that he expresses in healthy ways and not so healthy ways, and how that sort of is the driving force between him and Sasuke as well, is just him trying to make these genuine connections and to feel like his existence has meaning, because that's the only way that he can, feel that he sort of belongs anywhere, is by Sasuke acknowledging him. Pretty much, like, he's one of the first people. Haruka is definitely as well, but, like, him and Sasuke's connection, it's just fascinating. He's just a really fascinating and relatable character, and his struggles feel real to me. And he just seems like a very human and a very understandable protagonist. And I also love that he's dumb as shit. I love that he's like, he definitely has like a learning disorder. Like, he's a kid who wouldn't sit still.
Oh,
yeah.
You guys,
he's smart. He's
At
also
minimum,
very
he's
smart.
dyslexic, but you have to add in like 9 other things probably.
He's dyslexic, but I think you guys mentioned it like way back in one of your first episodes. I can't remember which one. But you guys, like, Naruto is like one of the most ADD people on the planet. That dude needs Ritalin like fucking I need a diet. Like, he needs Ritalin. Like, it is grim how much that kid is like on the crazy. Okay, so Tim, round us out here. Naruto or Sasuke?
Naruto, and I have nothing positive to say about Sasuke. I think he's kind of. I think he's actually. I think he's just
like
worse, to be honest with you. I have nothing positive to say about Sasuke. I feel like in the dub, I wish I could replace the dub voice actor for Sasuke. The dub voice actor is very good in other things. I think the direction is not very good for Sasuke. I wish we could replace him as the just him speaking in Japanese, because I feel like that would weirdly fit. I don't think there's anything from where I'm sitting that is successful with Sasuke other than him being unsuccessful makes Naruto so much better. I haven't, had anything in Shippuden. Like, I just met him in Shippuden, and his introduction sucks and it rocks. It's perfect. It's 1,000% good, but it's also bad. But it's not bad. It's bad parentheses good and good parentheses shrug emoji. I do think a show sort of like this, especially coming from its time, probably needs an emo boy like this. And then once you learn his backstory, you're like, all right, I guess. I don't know if he's the boy, but I don't know.
Yeah, he's definitely the most earned emo boy. Like, if any emo boys in anime, you listen to his story and like, okay, no, you can be emo, right?
Yeah, he deserves it. I just think, I don't blame. It's weird, right? Like, there's sometimes where you can throw yourself into the fiction and you can like scream at the show, like, why is XYZ character doing this? And then sometimes you just have to be like, why is the director choosing that? And whenever that happens to me, I find that an ultimate failure. It's why I think a lot of Game of Thrones, as it went on, felt bad, is because you were just like, you no longer were like yelling at the screen for the bad choices. You're like, I'm not yelling at Daenerys, I'm yelling at, the showrunners and things like that. So I just kind of feel like some of the direction and stuff like that is ultimately not very successful. Even though I think a kissy of it does make Naruto better, but like the boy better, his reactions better. I think that I don't know. He just sucks.
Man, like it's really tough because ordinarily I'd probably go into bat for Naruto too, but like I kind of feel like I need to defend
Right?
Sasuke
I mean, sure.
almost here. Like it's just like
All my homies hate Sasuke.
and he's like he is the OG like emo boy. He's the poster child for like emo boys, and he has everything going for him. He's all natural talent, no practice, you know, which is not true because he practices all the time and he trains really hard. But also, like, he's kind of that poster child somehow. Like, he's been
you're right.
pushed into that anime trope where he's the person who is born with the gift of genetics almost. You know,
Well, because
he's born with a Sharingan.
yeah, you're right. Because like Naruto trains his ass off too, and he's always in Sasuke's shadow.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, yeah, it's easy to hate on a character trope like Sasuke, but also like he's such a, I don't know, he fills that character description so well, where he's everything you need an emo protagonist boy to be. He pulls at all the right strings. He's exactly what you need him to be, and he's exactly what every 15-year-old anime girl needed him to be. You know what I mean? Like he's exactly that.
Yeah, I think for me too is I love Vegeta, and I feel like Vegeta's successful because he's. I think I just need a kissy more of emotion, just a small dash of emotion, and so whenever he does show an emotion, I do like him. I think he's really good at the end of the Chunin exam when he's just like, what the fuck is happening? When there's like the giant frog versus giant raccoon demon battle. And he's just like, And when him and Naruto fight on the top of the, what we joke about sometimes looking like a school, but it's a hospital. And he thinks he almost just killed Naruto because Naruto's, because they both do their signature moves at each other, and they get deflected at the last moment by Kakashi in a really rad scene. And it looks like Sasuke's move is bigger, and he's like, you can see how smug he is about it, because like you said before, he comes back with his super, even more emo outfit, right? Because he's been gone throughout all the Chunin exams. At some point, he just leaves, and he makes his return, and he's like even more smug and an asshole. And the scene is like his move blew up like this part of the water tower or something like that, and Naruto's is like a small hole. He's like. And then he walks away being all smug. And then he looks up at the back of the water tower that Naruto hit, and it's just obliterated. And he's like, oh, and that's right when he's starting to be like, who is this freak that is obsessed with me? That part I do like. I'm glad that you brought that up, because there was a little bit of water for my Sasuke crops, and I think that makes the, like, you can't have the Sasuke v Naruto fight be as good as it is and have everything I said about Sasuke be true, right? Like, Sasuke has to be a certain amount of successful for that thing to work, and I do think that's true. Now that I'm, kind of talking it out a little bit, but I do wish there was a little something else.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there. And I think there's only really one question I have left, and it's probably the most controversial question. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Now, I think for as long as I can remember Naruto existing, I can also remember the argument existing that Naruto and Sasuke were meant to be together, that they were a pair of lovers that were separated and that should always have been reunited. Naruto's one and truly love was never Hinata. It was never Hinata. And Sasuke's one love was never Sakura. It was always each other. Now, do you guys fall into that camp, or do you guys like... Because me personally, look, I do practice in shipping. I do partake in the activity of shipping characters. I think it's a fun thing to do, and I am a fiend for some fan fiction. I fucking love fan fiction. I do. It's my worst quality apart from my addictive personality. It really is. That being said, some of the Naruto cross Sasuke fanfiction out there is some of the hottest garbage on the internet. But also, I think a lot of it's grounded in truth because I think there is a genuine, honest love between those two characters that the story may kind of allude to, but never really commits to in a way that is worth, meaningful. So do you guys believe that Naruto and Sasuke are in fact in love and do deserve happiness together as a couple?
Okay. If I may to speak first, if that is all right.
Please.
Let me begin by saying there are no straights on Naruto Reviewto. Yeah, and I feel like the relationship between Naruto and Sasuke goes even a level beyond romantic love into sort of the domain of soulmates on a level.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily I like Naruto and Hinata together. I think they're super cute. Like, I don't hate it at all. Do I think Sasuke and Sakura should be married? Absolutely the fuck not. But their connection, which is the driving force of the entire fucking show, is so intense and so obsessive and such like this fever pitch of thinking about each other and longing for each other and wanting to be with each other and save each other. And like in the big blowout fight at the end of Naruto Prime, they are so close to the point where they can read each other's feelings just through fighting. And I think that goes beyond like the level of just like purely romantic love. Yeah, like I said, into soulmates. So yeah, I do think that it is they're very, very much in some sort of love. Definitely for sure. They would kiss absolutely for sure. I don't think I've ever read fan fiction of Naruto and Sasuke to think about it. I don't know why I've never
Sounds like we need
as someone
recommendations.
yeah.
No, you don't. Don't read it. But my recommendation is to not read it. But as someone who is, on your behalf, read a lot, I would just like to formally say that most of it is 100% smart, and a lot of it depicts Sasuke and Naruto's relationship in a sexual kind of BDSM way, where Sasuke takes the role of the quote unquote abuser, and Naruto is a yeah. I mean.
No.
Maybe that's just what my algorithm sends to me, which probably says a lot about me more than it says about anything
from what
else.
I hear talking to my wife about fan fiction is like that's not even what she searches out, but it's like here's another one when the boys I'm looking up where they're werewolves and they're making a pile like nests of each other's clothes.
Oh my God.
Like over and over again.
Reading ABO fanfic.
She doesn't read it, but she accidentally, before she had her guards up, when she was checking the first couple pages of it, she would accidentally fall into ABO stuff and horrific stuff.
Funny. Oh my God.
Yeah,
like when I was watching Naruto as a kid, I did not understand Naruto and Sasuke's relationship. I was like, what is the drive here? Like, I get that they're friends, but friends don't do this for each other. And now, watching it as an adult, it's very eye-opening of like, oh no, they're in love. They're very much in love with each other to a very deep degree, like Kim was saying.
Yeah, and it's like, it's unavoidable when you're rewatching, because I'm the same with you. I'm the exact same with you, Jesse, where it's just like you watch it as a kid and you're like, yeah, well, my friends wouldn't do that for me. Like, I had best friends at the time. I was like, well, I wouldn't do that for them. Are they truly not my best friends? And then you grow up a bit, you rewatch it, you're like, oh no, they are like legit in love. Like rewatching that, for like 100% certainty that the last thing Naruto thinks about before he closes his eyes to fall asleep for the night is just Sasuke. Like, the last image in his face is
like,
just
when
Sasuke.
is he not thinking about Sasuke is
Always.
almost a better question, right?
It's like Naruto has the personality of like a high school girl who's just like fallen head over heels for some guy at her school. Like, it's that same thing where Naruto, he's just fixated on him, where he just, everything Sasuke does is of interest to Naruto, to the point where it's this obsessive relationship where sometimes it's reciprocated, sometimes it's not. It's almost abusive at points. It's toxic. It's beautiful. It's special. It's all these things wrapped up into one. And honestly, I can't blame him, because Sasuke's fucking real hot sometimes, and it's real like it's not good. It's confronting for me.
Yeah, maybe it's because I do the podcast with y'all. Maybe that colors my opinion. But like you said, I think once you kind of crack that door open of whether or not it's like, is there shipping happening here? I think it's unavoidable. And I know I got a DM on Twitter one time and it's like, I love it. I've never thought about this before. I think you guys are wild. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I love it. It's great. Yeah. I mean, it was all positive, but it's just like, a dude that watched anime his whole life. Right. And he didn't, like Jesse, you sort of said, like, you didn't see it that way, but don't add the extra flavor of like, well, but why? Which I feel like it is fairly normal when you're just watching shit for the cool fights and stuff like that. I said it at the top of the show of like, I think you need to know that Sasuke and Sakura get together because it fucking sucks. I think it's such a bad choice. I think it makes me sad because Sasuke sucks. And, maybe he turns around, but I let myself follow one Twitter artist that kind of shows a kissy of them, of their like domestic life. And I think I even asked you guys, like, does it justifiable? You're like, yeah. So like, to be honest with you, I don't want Naruto to be with Sasuke either. I think, I know that he wants to. I want him to get this out of his system. It is absolutely what's happening in the point of the program for which I am at. But I want something to happen, right? And then it'd be like, oh, well, okay, cocaine is not for me. I have to step back, and I'm fine with whatever. I mean, I like. Sakura Ino, because Ino's so funny and cool towards Sakura, but Ino's so funny and cool with everybody that it's almost not fair to like exclusively ship her with people. I don't know. I'm really really into Naruto and Hinata just because it's such a funny twist and how goddamn weird Hinata is throughout the show. It's such a good choice to make her such a goblin about it, and how they make her just like crazy hot as she like older and older and older. Like I can't go through like fan art subreddits until like, all right, God, I don't know, this character's weird. Is she blind? I don't know. Fuck. And I think I don't really put myself in a camp per se, other than knowing Sasuke has to be alone.
Yeah, I think one of my highlight moments of listening to your podcast was when you described Hinata as the blind one, and I fucking lost it in the middle of the.
I'm still not completely comfortable with her not being.
It's so funny. But like, it's interesting that you mention Hinata's like level of attractiveness that goes through it, because like Naruto is like a weirdly horny series throughout it. Like it starts off weirdly horny, and it never kind of stops being weirdly horny.
It's anime. What are you gonna do?
But like, it also like, it's not as fan serviced as a lot of other animes. Like, there's really not that much fan service in there. It's not until you get characters like Tsunade get introduced, and you're like, oh, there they are. Yeah, I've been wondering where.
Even then, like where I'm at, there's like this one fight with Tsunade where they should have added like some embarrassing video game boob physics to her, but they spend all their money on her shoulders. And I thought that I was really, really impressed, because obviously she is fan service because of her huge bazongarinos, and she's always leaning forward and being funny and stuff like that. Great character all around. But the fact that her fight is so focused on like how jacked she is, that gave me a lot of respect for the show. There's never like a moment where she falls down, jacked. A little bit of her shirt like falls open a little bit like that. I was really impressed by that.
I'll be very interested to talk to you, Timmy, right after you have the Battle of the Five Kages about Tsunade. So we'll get fucking back to that at a later date. But we've been running a long time, and it's with an absolute heavy heart. I have to say, we have to pull up stumps here, because honestly, I could keep talking like this for days, and I really could. It has been absolutely fantastic having you guys here. Jess, Kim, and Tim. It has been an absolute pleasure. Please, dorks, listening to this, go out and check Naruto Reviewto. It is 100% guaranteed to make you watch Naruto again. In my opinion, it's the best thing going when it comes to Naruto podcasting. I truly do love your guys' podcast, and it's been an actual pleasure to have you guys on here. We'll wrap it up there. What are your plugs, guys? Where can people find you?
Yeah, awesome. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Jusifers. That's JUSIFERS. I do a lot of anime embroidery, so if you're interested in that, check it out.
Yes.
You can find me on. Oh, you go ahead. I didn't know if we're going in our show order or the introduction order. I didn't know.
Yeah, right.
You can find me on Twitter at Tim Lanning, and I do an award-winning Dungeons and Dragons podcast that has been going for 9 years long, called Greetings Adventurers. We're just about to start our second campaign after 9 years, so it's a great place to jump on. It used to be called Drunks and Dragons. We have like 500 some episodes, but yeah, that's Greetings Adventurers podcast. It's a fun time. I also do a podcast called Dear Internet, where we answer advice with the skewed aspect of like the advice for which people go to the internet to ask, and that too is a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Hell yeah. You can find me on Twitter at KimCatties. That's at KYMCATTYS. I have links in my bio there to all of the other shows I am on or have been on, which include Transformation Sequence, which is the anime review podcast that I did with my hot husband and our friend Vince. That sadly has been discontinued because, like I said, anime, when you watch it, nothing but anime for 5 years straight, turns out you get a little burnout. As well as Wintercrest, which is a real play Monster Hearts podcast. If you like CW trashy, like supernatural stuff, like, I don't know, Vampire Diaries, you'll enjoy listening to that. As well as Love to Hate, which is a show where some of my friends and I talk about things we love and things we hate. And also, yeah, I tweet about dumb shit every single day, so.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, check all that stuff. Get amongst these guys. It's been genuinely just so fun talking to you guys. So we'll pull up stuff there.
Thank you so much.
Make sure you leave a review for this episode and whatever you're listening to it on. If you want to get in touch with us here at the Lords of Dorktown, you can. Just email us at lordsofdorktown@gmail.com. We're also on Instagram at Lords of Dorktown there. Check all that stuff out, and yeah, keep it dorky, guys. Yoo!
Should we stop her?
Thank you.